We agreed on Mia Mac.
Is it Mia Mac like mac and cheese?
No,
Can you
like
make
the
a
Mac
mean
is
mac and
back.
cheese?
No, like the Mac is back.
Oh, Mac Attack.
Mac attack. Mac is back.
Na-
Mia Mac.
Snap back. Oh, okay.
Snapback. Whatever.
Yeah, how you doing, B? How you doing now?
I'm good. How you doing?
Okay, how you doing? You know, I want to take a special time out. Head Sanford, he had a passing in the family, so he had to go and do a travel today. So I just want to take time send condolences to his family. He's on the road, and of course he's with us in spirit. So we want to just take time to shout out to him right quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, Nikki G, she coming. She's suffering from, I guess she's suffering from vacay lag. Yeah, I'm gonna tell y'all what. When I go on vacay, I'm gonna act a fool on Facebook because everybody been going on vacay. I'm taking my vacay late this year, but I'm a clown on y'all. I'm gonna be on the moon taking vacay. I'm gonna show y'all something since everybody want to talk about vacay. So how you been doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, it's not as hot here in Nashville as it is down there in Little Rock. I was talking to my mom. She said it was 100 degrees in the shade.
Right.
So we don't have that going on up here. I think I may be getting soft.
Okay. And then I see Helen High Water. She just hit me up in the forum. She talked about she had a funeral, so we want to take time to go ahead and shout out to her to have a funeral. I hope she ain't doing a Wanda, you know, going to the funeral. So we're gonna take time to shout out for not only for Head Sanford, for Helen High Water, because usually when she come in here, she raised Helen High Water. So how you doing? You ready to get up and go? I'm waiting to see if our illustrious attorney, who's fashionably late, always show up. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna segue him in here today. What do you say about that?
Sound like a plan?
Okay, sound like a plan. Okay, so here we go. So what we're talking. Oh, wait a minute. Before I get started, I gotta go here to the side. I got a angry black man. He's running the turntables today. He got some sweat on it. Not yet. It ain't sweated up, but there you go. What's up, Dynamic Dave, Super Dave? How you doing there, bro?
Oh, I'm doing fine. How about everybody else? Good
Oh,
talk to you.
goodness, he's calm right now. But we're going to fix that in just a second. We're going to fix that in just a second. So anyway, today's topic is called being unhinged. You know, we're watching Rome burn around us. And I guess some of us are trying to maneuver through the flames while we're watching it. And it's so interesting. And some of our topics, how they've kind of shifted somewhat to a lot of stuff that we talk about in black community and relationships and stuff like that. And now it's kind of shifted to like current events because it seems like every week it's some new reality show nonsense kicking off, ain't it? It's like every week, it's like we almost scared to figure out what the hell is going to happen next in the country. I'm not surprised if the country just don't slide off into the sea within the next week and we're going to be sitting around here talking about what happened to one of the coasts. Hopefully somebody wants to correct. I guess I don't put my mouth near the object, but that's by habit. Okay. So, anywho, let's go ahead and talk about it. Mia, have you been keeping up with what's been going on?
I mean, can you be more specific? Because every day is something going on.
Yeah, I know it's something new going on.
Right. So
let's talk about what has been going on. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the country. You know, this week we had 2 or 3 things that really became hot button topics in the news. First of all, we talk about the Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. He retired from Supreme Court. And the reason why I need to talk about this is because this is what really becomes an issue when we talk to our people about voting. Because when we really talk about the powers that the president has, because, you know, supposedly he's supposed to be in a series of checks and balances. That's always until a Republican gets elected. You understand what I'm saying? Whenever a Republican gets elected, it seems that the president seems to have these far-reaching powers that he gets to be able to do whatever he wants to do because the constituents and, you know, it's like the people, they're going further and further to the fringe. So as long as he caters to the fringe, people seem to be okay with what he does.
Okay, so with Anthony Kennedy retiring, you know, elections have consequences.
Exactly.
For sure. You know, they've said for a very long time that most of the justices are getting really, really old. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 197 at last check. And so she is either needing to retire or she's going to leave us and go on to glory at some point, you know, pretty close. And those more liberal type of voices are leaving. I
Right.
have no doubt in my mind, and I hate to be here from the future to tell you that President Trump will probably win again because
Uh-uh.
nothing has
Uh-uh.
changed.
Uh-uh. We're not gonna put that. Nope. 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 Nope.
I'm
We're not gonna
telling
even know
you,
it.
I'm telling you, if we don't start taking some real, power back and really understanding what led him to being elected in the first place, we will have a repeat
You mean
performance.
Russia?
I guarantee you.
Well,
Rush, okay, mark my words. He's not going to be impeached. He's not going to be indicted.
you,
I
you-
bet you money.
no. Look. I'm gonna tell you something just like this, and I've been listening to some articles about it because here's the practicality fact of it. The Democrats are not, in order for him to get impeached, he's going to have 2/3 in the Senate. I cannot see the Democrats taking back the Senate before 2020. I just can't see it. So my thing is, for practicality's sake, and he would have to screw up so bad that he would have to have at least 10 Republican senators turn on him for them to even consider impeaching him. So let's just be real. As nice as it sounds, as much, and unless Robert Mueller can dig up something. Now, here's something on the flip side of that. I heard that supposedly, and this is news from the grapevine, but you didn't hear it from Django, that Robert Mueller has an October surprise waiting. So we'll see what that happens and what he's uncovered with that. Because anybody knows Robert Mueller, he is very thorough. And he leaves no
I
rock
believe that
unturned.
he is very thorough. And, I'm not saying that he's not doing his job, but while we're walking around or listening to the news outlets that's saying, the city's on fire, the city's on fire, the city's on fire, every week, every hour of every day
It's great
on
ratings, don't
CNN,
it?
they have breaking news.
Right.
When you have things like that, it ends up making you not really surprised or shocked by anything. You can't be shocked. You're not surprised. You just feel like it's par for the course, right?
Right.
And so now we become numb to all of these shenanigans that are going on. And if nothing, because the question is, has anything in your life, your immediate life, your day-to-day life, has it changed for the better or the worse in the last 3 or 4 years? Not what you feel. I'm talking about just a fact. Has anything changed for you between President Obama and 45?
I will put it like this, and when we talk about not what we feel, but what we know, okay? I can definitely see the attitudes of certain colonizers around us changing.
Oh,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay, now,
For
now,
sure.
as far as, and this is why the whole notion of why Trump got elected in the first place is a red herring. Because let's just be honest, we always talk about local elections matter. Yes, they do. But the fact of the matter is, people didn't really feel the pinch under President Obama. If anything, Obama made a lot of people who wouldn't vote for him. He spared their houses. He fixed their cars. He brought the auto industry up. We can talk about all his other little faults what we want to, but a lot of white people should be thanking President. I'm not talking about just white people who voted for him. I'm talking about white people who didn't vote for him. He made it that this country made it where people were not going to be sitting around here moving from their 5-bedroom homes to a 1-bedroom home. Let's just be real about it. So they can sit around here and talk all this about anemic growth. They can talk about all this. We know the factors of why Obama couldn't do more. And we don't even have to relitigate that. Okay? We don't have to relitigate that. We already know why he didn't get to do what he needed to do. So let's just break this down. When I sit around here and I see people like Sean Hannity and all these people trying to crow, trying to crow about the economy doing so good. But hold on, we can brag about what Trump, and I'm not even going to refer to him as President Trump because he does nothing that acts even remotely presidential. And then when he gets in his rallies, it's like he's talking to retarded people. Well,
Amen,
maybe he
Deacon.
is.
Amen.
So that maybe he is. So my thing about it is when we talk about what people are feeling, okay, people don't know how they feel. They let me just be real about it. People felt that they were being brought from under the water under President Obama. He could have sat around here and he could have took the stock market to where it's at now, and you had certain groups of people that would have still complained about him because it's not about what they felt; it's what they were being told. Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed. Right. So it was
But
about what they
when
being
you're
told.
talking about as the presidency relates to the justices,
Right.
The justices should theoretically they should be apolitical, right?
Right.
They shouldn't bring their politics in it. And really, law is law. They're there to uphold the
Right.
Constitution as it is written, right?
Right.
um Now there's been certain things that have challenged it, but now you're going to have a justice system, or I'm sorry, a Supreme Court that is very, very partisan, and it's going to be very, very red. I don't think it's I don't think it's healthy for our country to have it blood red or blush blue, all the way blue. I think that you need balance there, because I don't think everybody is right on either side. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So when you're talking about Trump, who has said on multiple occasions things that make you really understand he wants to be a king, he wants a monarchy.
Right.
You don't have a check and balance there that says, "Hey, whoa, no, homeboy,
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't get to do that."
Right.
And right now, he's marching around like the emperor has no clothes. He think he's killing the game, but he's really not.
Please, I don't want to
But
do
there
that
are too
visual.
many
No
people
clothes.
who think he is.
I don't want to do that visual. No clothes, because he's definitely not the most in shape president we've had coming down the pipe. I mean, you can see that. Oh, wait a minute, Mia Mac and cheese. Hold on, look who just showed up. Fashionably late, and with his Bluetooth in it, and one in each ear on top of it. But they won't blast this morning. Yeah. I know some of your clients will definitely say that.
That's in the words of Drake. Never late is better.
Okay, yeah, we got you.
Do what we gotta do.
There you go.
We gonna make it do what it do, baby.
You're going to make it do what it do. Okay. Hey, Mia Mac, we got our illustrious attorney in here. Hold on. We trying to get his earphone. We got to get him acclimated in here. We got Mr. Jimmy C. Morris, attorney extraordinaire right here in
Check
Little
1
Rock.
2 1 2.
You there?
I
Okay.
think I'm on.
Hello, good sir.
Hello.
I haven't figured out the name for Jimmy yet. Because show name for him yet. I mean, I guess we got to keep it. That's a good plug for him. I see he's been kicking names and taking butt, up in the courtroom.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you this, man. These prosecutors keep bringing cases that they shouldn't bring.
Hey,
And
oh boy.
and when they bring cases they shouldn't bring,
Mm-hmm.
they end up catching me or one of my colleagues who, know how to do some things.
Right.
And then they get embarrassed a little bit. And
Yeah.
Then they decide next time, should I really bring this case? Or,
Thank you.
Or should I bring this case if Jimmy Morris is on it? I mean, you had to take that into consideration.
Hey, Rodney. I know. That's fighting a good fight, one case at a time.
Man, look, and I'm tell you something. The first case that I won last week, I mean, if you just want to know about it, the first case I won last week, it was a public defender commission appointed case. I was appointed.
Mm-hmm.
It was a white client in Fort Smith, who I was the fourth lawyer, and he fired me 4 times.
Wow.
He fired me once, and the judge said, "Look,
Hey, Nikki D.
you either need to represent yourself or keep Mr. Morris."
All right.
He tap danced, so the judge says, "Mr. Morris, your lawyer."
Mm-hmm.
He did it again.
Mm-hmm.
Tap dance, Mr. Morris is your lawyer. Third time, tap dance, we're not going to do this anymore.
Right.
Mr. Morris is your lawyer. Fourth time, he said, "I'll represent myself."
Oh boy.
And I said, okay. So
You know the old saying, the old law school
hey,
saying about
so-
that.
so I knew what I had to do.
Right.
I had to prepare him for trial. And
Hey, Nick.
unfortunately, if you don't know anything about the law, I can't take you to law school in 2 days.
Thank you.
So anyway, I prepared him for whatever he was trying to do, and at the same time, I prepared to take over when he messed up. And
Right.
10 minutes before trial, he says, "I don't know what I'm doing." I said, "Well, everybody knows that except for you at that point." So, 45 minutes out, and then it was a not guilty verdict.
Right.
The next one was a police battery case, and it really wasn't a battery. It was really somebody who had a issue, may have scratched a police officer, and they wanted to take it to.
Did they live?
Well, here's the deal. Battery third,
Right.
which is just, small time battery.
Simple battery, right.
Simple battery. If you do it on a police officer, correction officer, something like that, it becomes a felony.
Right.
So this scratch became a felony.
Mm-hmm.
I told the prosecutor, "Look, let's just plead it out to something lesser.
Right.
This person doesn't need a felony." And the prosecutor wouldn't listen. The
Oh,
prosecutor
as
said,
usual.
"Oh no, we don't like your client, and she's 38 years old or 36 years old, and she's acted like this a lot, and she throws these temper tantrums. She's a brat, and she's gonna go to prison." I said, "Well, you about to have a long day, because I mean, I asked you for what I wanted.
Right.
You didn't give me what I
Right.
wanted.
You don't want to budge. Right.
So now I have to show you that you get nothing.
Right.
Now those prosecutors won't talk to me right now. I don't know what I did besides.
Yeah, I think you put egg on their face, bro.
An hour, 32 minutes, and the only reason I know this is because they wrote the time down. I didn't write the time down that it started because I was listening to Jay-Z and Beyonce, and that's all I was really interested in. I had just got the album and hadn't heard the whole album, so after my closing, that's what I was interested in.
Right.
You know, the verdict was secondary, but, you know, they came back with not guilty.
Oh, boy.
And then this week, I had
Big G.
had a case that punted,
Right.
and then another case I filed so many motions and had the prosecutor trapped that they just dismissed it, and that was a capital murder case.
Wow.
So my client was charged with capital murder, and if y'all don't know capital murder,
Yeah.
there are only two options.
Right.
Life in prison without the possibility of parole, death penalty.
Right. Extra crispy or well done.
My client walked out of jail like George Jefferson.
Well,
Or George Jetson. I don't know which one he was. he walked about it.
Right. Right. So, well, wow. I hope Nikki G talking about that's all you listen to is Jay-Z, Beyonce.
Man, that's all I was listening to that day.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there was a question that came out from the jury.
Right.
And the question came out, and the judge was going to answer, and the judge says, "Do you want me to call the jury in?" I said, "Nope, Judge, I trust you. I'm going to get back to this Beyonce," and put my earbuds back in and walked out the courtroom. So, yeah, I wanted to hear that. I mean, they talking about some good stuff, man. But not only that, man, let me tell you, man, just a personal story.
Okay.
My son told me, and I don't know if y'all seen the video. It's I think the video's ape shit, but they're in the Louvre.
Right.
The Louvre is a museum in Paris.
Right.
That, you know, it has 5 different sides.
Right.
Houses the Mona Lisa, houses a lot of Egyptian stuff. A beautiful, beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
I took my son.
Right.
My son was mad the whole time. He wanted to go do something else. He didn't care.
Right.
I drug him to see the Mona Lisa and some other thing. I drug him to see part of the Egyptian stuff and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jay-Z and Beyonce come out. Mm-hmm. They have a video.
Right.
This video is in the Louvre in Paris. My son comes to me and says, "Dad, they shot the video in the Louvre."
Mm-hmm.
How do you know, son? Because I've been there. Point is, they are now bringing culture to our community in a way that hadn't been seen. You're introducing kids not to just pop, lock, and drop it, but you're introducing them to trips. You're introducing them to museums. You're introducing them to things that they wouldn't ordinarily be. So when you listen to this album, and then here's the deal, man. You talking about the man that started out with girls,
Right.
who now in the album says that I'm not leaving my wife.
Deep.
If the house was burning,
Right.
I'm dying, somebody else would have to raise my kids because I'm not leaving this woman. This dude was from I get around like the late Machiavelli to I love this woman so much. The duality, to see growth in a man like that, man, that's impressive to me. And so maturity, because here's the deal: if we still were in 1996 and we still were talking about reasonable doubt, we like, oh man, this dude ain't talking about nothing.
Right.
But the fact that he's talking about growth and she's talking about growth and they're talking about growing together, and then they're talking about, hell, we had problems.
Right. Oh boy, did they have problems.
You know, but but see, that's the thing about it. We're so myopic in our thinking nowadays. We have these small relationship problems, and we're done.
Right.
Small.
Right.
What are you building? Who are you building it with? You know, I was on the phone with my sister, and my sister said, most people don't have an end game. End game is a conversation that we use when we're talking about chess, meaning how you gonna win the game.
Right.
What is your goal at the end? She said, the problem you have, Jimmy, is you're looking for the long game because you think they have long-term plans.
Right.
If a person can only think about 15 minutes ahead of themselves,
right? They can't.
They have no long game.
Right. They can't look through the forest for the trees.
Right.
Right.
So there is no long game.
Right.
And so when we're dealing with people who are thinking, they miss it. Oh, this person did this. This person didn't do this. That's so myopic. It's so short-sighted.
So talk to me here, bro. This is what I need to ask you on the Supreme Court, because you have your license to argue before them now, right?
Well, I am. I'm licensed in the I'm licensed in the Supreme Court.
Right. So talk to us where you see it going. Hold on one second, Mac. Are you still there, darling?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Did you want me to interject on relationships or something like that?
No, look, when it comes to Jimmy with J&J, just leave him alone, because see, your girl Nikki G started that one. She went and said something about that's all he listened to.
Exactly.
And I knew Jimmy was going, so
I'm just impressed at the growth that you see in both of them. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be like them, but I'm saying, it's like, now I was up late at night last night, and what I said was there are too many Cardi B's and not enough Beyonces.
Oh, Lord, don't even let me get started on that one.
And people kind of say, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, just look at the. I mean, okay, they both are beautiful women. Let's just start there. They both are beautiful women. They both may dress kind of okay, but let's look at what one of them is talking about and what the other is talking about. One of them's talking about, getting, this and this from a man and this, and the other one's talking about building. She talked about her grandchildren being taken care of and a lot of brown children on the Forbes list.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about when you hear these two women, these two queens talk, and you say, you know what? I don't want to make sure my grandchildren's grandchildren are taken care of. I want to go get the money and have red bottoms, these is bloody shoes, and talk like that. And it's frustrating to see that you can gravitate to somebody who's becoming a billionaire, who's affecting the culture. You can gravitate towards that person, or you can gravitate towards somebody who's, basically doing shows in strip clubs and letting people, kiss on a booty. I mean, and so, I got a daughter, and since I got a daughter, and look, to all the women I may have done some things to, I apologize, because I understand now since I have a daughter. But my point is, when you have a daughter, and my daughter had Instagram, and she was doing certain things on Instagram, and I'm like, baby, what in the?
What is we doing?
My daughter put a pillow under her shirt and was doing some baby mama challenge where she was talking about, I got it now. I'm going to get some child support. And I was just like, baby, you what?
Oh.
Telling them, you what?
Ron,
you what? Because you can't really just yell at them, because little girls are so sensitive. You yell at them, they don't even get the point. But you just have to make them think about it.
Okay, Jimmy. Okay. Wait a minute.
Jimmy. Uh-oh. Me and Matt coming to get you now.
Come and get me.
Go.
I don't want to hit you, but I do want to stop you when you say you can't yell at a little girl because she can't take it or she's weak. I've been yelled at as a little girl. You can talk to me the same way that you would talk to anybody else as a child. I talk to my daughter. I probably give it to her a whole lot harder than I even give it to my son. But I think that when you're dealing with women, and let me go on out there and say the whole
I'm not
Me
saying,
Too.
I'm not saying
you want to stop me.
I'm not saying women. I'm saying when men talk to their daughters. You
I understand that, but you can talk to your daughter
wait
in the same way with the same tone
her mother,
that you would talk to a son.
No, you cannot. No, you can't. No, you can't. And I'm tell you why. Fathers to sons can talk to them a certain way. Mothers to daughters can talk a certain way. When it starts to cross over, it doesn't cross over well. That's just real talk. Me yelling at my daughter has an opposite effect than her mother yelling at her. Her mother.
I think that what you're saying. Well, let me try to give it to you this way. I think that if you change your intensity when you're talking to your daughter, then it's possible that she would miss what you're trying to say, number one. And number two, this world is not going to treat her special because she's a woman or a female when she grows up. And so in my role, you were talking about your job and being an attorney and what you encounter. I encounter a whole lot of women that have been told that they can't demand to be treated with the same level of respect that a man gets. But that's because their fathers think that they can't handle being talked to a certain way. So when they get out into the real world, they don't have the fortitude they need to handle this world as it may come. So no, I don't agree with you that you have to alter your tone when you're talking to a daughter. You need to have her prepared and teaching her and explaining to her and giving it to her in the way that she can handle it when she becomes an adult.
Okay, well, let's take a step back and deal with what you said. You said the reason that they can't do certain things is because the fathers have not prepared them for it. A lot of
No.
Okay.
I didn't say fathers. I'm just saying general. If you're saying from a man and a father's perspective,
I am.
that when you're speaking to your daughter, you can't talk to her the same way with the same tone that you would speak to your son. If that's what you're, as a father, I don't think that you should do it that way. I think that you should talk to them the same way, so that when they become an adult, they can handle it.
I don't think it comes across the same way. I think that's why men teach men how to be men and women teach women how to be women. I don't think it crosses over well. I think my disappointment in her can be shown without me yelling at her the same way I would yell at my son. My son, I yell at him because I'm trying to get effect. If my daughter may never come up and what you stick your chest out and try to test me. My son at 13 has tested me already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's a difference. You deal with them differently. I'm not saying you make one weaker or better than the other. It's a difference in how you deal with them, especially if you are a father dealing with a daughter.
I disagree, and that's why you got a generation of women walking around saying "me too."
No, you got a generation of women walking around saying "me too" because the fathers weren't there at all. What are you?
No.
What are you talking about?
Okay, wait a minute. You have some women that have truly been sexually harassed and sexually abused, but you have a lot of women who can't even tell the difference between a true sexual assault and a true sexual harassment, and they think that anytime a man says something to them, it's coming off wrong, or they're out to get them, or whatever the case may be, because we are setting women up, or you're trying to set women up to be weak and to be a victim in one incident, and then expecting them to be strong in another incident. You have to be accountable for your part in any type of situation. But if you're saying to me, I got to alter the way that I talk to my daughter, and I got to alter the way that I deal with these adults, that's what happens.
No, I don't know if that's true. Because here's the deal. My mother, when dealing with my sister, dealt with her in such a way that prepared her more for life than I was prepared. Okay? The reason I wasn't prepared is because my father was supposed to prepare me, and he was not doing it. So the things my sister learned how to do from my mother to become, and my mother, let me tell you now, my mother graduated from UAPB with a degree in home economics. By the time she was finished with her career, she was making six figures, and she was in upper management of Social Security. My mother prepared my sister. Look, my mother told me to go to the military and be a high school coach. Told my sister to go to law school. I mean, that was how she dealt with she prepared her. Even the conversations they have now. My dad could not have prepared her for that. My dad could prepare her for things she would face as it comes to life. He helped her with, look, if you're going to go out drinking in college, you might want to drink this because it's a higher end. You won't have such a hangover. He dealt with certain things he felt he could deal with, but my father wasn't able to help her nor me. I was taught. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I was taught how to be a man by another man, a man named Xavier Muhammad. Xavier taught me the things that men did. My mother couldn't have inferred those things to me. No matter what my mother said to me, it took another man. It took me looking at another man, seeing that man do certain things in life, seeing that man when all else fails, he had to do certain things. That's where I learned how to be a man. And I'm saying to you, my mother was a great woman. Take nothing from her. She could not teach me how to be a man. Vice versa. My dad could not teach my sister how to be a woman. And so with my daughter, when I talk to her, I cannot use the same tone that I talk to my son. One, because if my son get sideways, I might swing on my son. My daughter, I'm not going to do that. I have to figure out a way to get her to understand the point without getting loud and boisterous the same way I would my son. My son, I might push him up against the wall. What the hell?
Listen, I don't disagree with you at all
Okay.
that it takes a man to teach a boy how to be a man. It takes a woman to teach a girl how to be a woman. We're on the same page there. I honestly believe that that's true. But what I will tell you is that a woman can't teach you what to accept or understand or expect from a man. Only a man can teach you what to expect from a man. The reason why I have a certain level of standard about who I encounter or who I date is because of the type of man my father was. So that's what I look for. If I'm looking about how I want to be treated or what I should expect from somebody, the first test of that I saw was my dad and how he interacted with my mom, my stepmom, with me.
Okay.
My dad taught me how to wield a level of respect for myself. So what I'm telling you is, no, a man can't teach a woman how to be a woman, but he certainly shows her what to expect out of a man.
Okay.
And he shouldn't be expecting or teaching her to expect that a man is going to alter how he's speaking, because that's going to take her completely out of some situations that she really wants to have a seat at the table for.
Okay, so when your father got mad at your mom or your stepmom, did he just yell at her and get all obnoxious?
No, but nobody should get yelled and get obnoxious.
Okay,
he was direct.
Okay, but it. Okay.
So you're
fine.
talking about a lack of ability to communicate,
not ma'am. No.
Not
It's like you want to argue this point with me about our difference in views.
Come on, Django, I don't want to argue.
I'm asking you a question. Was he mean? Was he mean when he did it? See, because you're taking your circumstance and making it the circumstance.
No, I don't think.
Because let me ask a different question.
Listen, I think that people will take you as being mean when you're being direct.
Okay, no.
Or being honest. So, like right now, I don't want to be argumentative, but I know that I am direct. I don't want to be mean, but I am direct. And I think that most people don't like direct people. And so they'll take that as you being mean, being loud, being evil, whatever.
Let me say this. I love direct people because we don't have to beat around the bush.
That BS, right.
But here's my question. I have a friend of mine, and she is half Nigerian, half American. And her dad was very protective. Her dad was very direct, very strong-willed. Her term for how her dad was mean. How was your dad? Mean. Well, he just loved you and he was trying to protect you. He was very mean to me. He was mean. That's how she, 25-year-old woman, only thing she can say about her dad was he was mean. So let me tell you, is she prepared for life because he was mean? Now, he might have been just direct, but is she prepared for life because she thinks her father was mean?
Well, just like I do, Django, that our kids and us as kids, we always take it back to our parents and say, you know what, they didn't do this well enough. They didn't do that well enough. I tell folks all the time, you're never going to be as good as what you think you are in your head or you want to be in your heart. You know what I mean? You do the best that you can. But I think that it's important to at least try to teach personal responsibility to women and men, black men and women in particular, and start saying you have got to man up. You got to re-up. You got to get yourself together and understand that if somebody is talking to you, just because they're being direct and to the point and not finding really pretty and sweet and a nice way to tell you something, that doesn't mean that they don't have your best interest at heart. It doesn't mean that they're mean.
Okay,
it means that they don't have time for no tomfoolery.
Well, I understand.
That's what it means.
But that's your methodology. My little sister is a lawyer, just like me. Both of us are lawyers. My little sister and I can take the same set of facts and the same case, and we can argue it differently and both win. Her methodology and my methodology are different. Let's say, for instance, if she gets a witness on the witness stand and it's a female victim in a rape case, she can go after him. I can't go after him because all the jury sees is this big black guy bullying the victim again, re-victimizing
Well,
her. So,
right.
No, what I understand. So what I want you to, what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't make me bad because I would go after that witness like that, and it doesn't make my sister great. But my sister can take the bulldog. We actually call her a bulldog in a pencil skirt.
Right.
But she can feminize it. She can take a guy who may be overbearing and reverse that overbearing on him. She can use both sides of the equation. For her to be prepared didn't mean she had to be strong. I mean, she can't outstrong a man, but she can now use both sides of the equation. She can talk direct. She can talk, but then she can smooth it out. Then she's more eloquent in language than me. I mean, she's all, but she's prepared on different levels, and still has her femininity and still does what. So it's.
But I think that's wonderful. But
so it ain't,
and the
what
only
you
thing
said,
that
what
I'm
you said,
saying
ovary
is,
up
I
or
don't
man
think
up.
that we should be monolithic in the way that we deal with anything.
Well, I agree.
So yes, it's important for you to be able to be a chameleon and be able to dip in and dip out of whatever situation that you find yourself in. But if you're not ever prepared for a situation where you have to be firm because you've never dealt with something like that, because people are trying to spare your feelings, it puts you at a disadvantage. That's all that I'm saying.
We're not sparing feelings. We're dealing with people differently because they are different.
I'm gonna put both of y'all as well. You ain't not like Trump. Put both of y'all as candidates for Supreme Court because both of y'all y'all have. What were we talking about again today? Hold on, Jimmy. We gonna take us a break. Then we gonna try. Cause the next thing we gonna talk about is Civil War. And I think we got a Civil War going on right now. So Jimmy, because I know Jimmy. Look, I went to grad school. There with the law. I already know he gonna go. He gonna go. He gonna go. And me, I see you gonna go. Boy, look,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. This is what I like.
We weren't even on the topic we were supposed to be on.
I know. We done went all the way into left field, home run, came back in the stadium. But we're going to be right back. Hold on. We're going to be right back.
Okay.
Devil's advocate, y'all. Me and Mac and Cheese.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
I'm gonna let y'all take a break so next week we get back into relationship conversation.
Yeah. You
Jimmy
go
back
on and
if he
do
ain't in court. And he can beat up on the ladies for a second.
And I probably will be in Havana.
Oh, you gonna be in Havana again? See this Negro right here.
Man,
He's Lionel Barrymore with the
cigar. My heart is in Havana.
Now you see he listening to colonized music, right? You see?
Ooh, nah.
Ever since he opened it up, Jimmy stay down there. I'm like, all right, boy. Lionel Barrymore with the robe and the cigarette holding the ascot. Okay, bro. I got you, man.
But hey, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, do your thing, bro. You done came a long way since we known each other. You know that. So let's talk about this supposedly brewing civil war in the country, because I know you definitely got something to say about this. I mean, and I know you do too, man. And then I'm going to see if we can get Dave in on this. Dave has just been patiently waiting his turn. I've got killers and rapers patiently waiting their turn. So let's talk about this. Do you believe, they said they took a poll and recently about 1/3 of the population believed that a second civil war is brewing. Do you believe in that? When we talk about being unhinged.
Well, I mean, we have some real problems in the United States at the moment. Some of which are being created by the president and Congress.
Right.
But one of the things I tell you is that it depends on what happens during these midterm elections.
Right.
If these midterm elections split the Congress or make it to where,
Okay.
Is that better?
Okay.
If they make it to where you have a Democratic Congress and a presidency, I think they'll hold the president a little bit more accountable. Problem I see is that the president comes with these left field policies, and now they're being upheld by the Supreme Court.
Right.
And it's
unions are in trouble.
Kennedy is about to step down, and
right.
then, I mean, Kennedy was the tiebreaker, sat on the fence, and now you gonna put somebody in there that's a little bit more conservative.
Right.
So, I mean, there's quite a problem that we have, and I don't think that there's enough of the population that wants a civil war to brew. I think there's enough of the population that will abide by the rule of law, which means that they will deal with the situations as they come.
Right.
I think from a outward perspective, we don't really want individuals believing that this union is not strong. So I can't see a civil war, but I can see some hard times coming based on some of these policies. I mean, we got policies that divide families up.
Right.
I mean, that's just cruel. We got policies that keep people out because of where they come from.
Right, the Muslim ban, as they call it, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just odd that our immigration policy does not affect not one European country.
Right.
Europeans can come and go as they please.
Well, I wonder why that is.
But if someone,
I can't imagine.
if
Right.
someone has any type of tint to their skin,
Right.
and the funny thing about it is, you know, black folks sometimes we're so odd. We make an odd argument.
Right.
We on one hand agree with the president and say there's nothing but rapists and drug dealers coming over, and then at the same time we say they taking all our jobs, not taking in consideration what is your job if the
Right.
rapists and the drug dealers taking
Right.
your job.
Right. Right.
But you know, we I'm gonna say this as black folk, we got to stand up for injustice wherever we see it, because here's the deal: we only represent 12% of the population.
Right.
And if we can't get people behind our struggle by supporting their struggle, we're gonna have a problem. Cause
Jimmy, tell me how how that's worked in the past, because I hear,
what's worked?
folks say I hear people say all the time that we really need to get behind other people and their struggle. So whether it's, our brown brothers and sisters and immigration and how they're doing them at the border, or whether it's about the Muslim ban,
Okay.
or if it's about gay rights, or whatever the case may be. I hear people say all the time that as black people, we need to make sure we're supporting these causes. But where are they? Where are they when it's time to support our causes?
Well, let me say this: I was on the ACLU board.
I've given plenty of money to the ACLU.
No.
I don't.
I'm telling you about the board. When I sat on the board, we took on cases that affected black and brown people. We took on cases that people didn't think were even, cases we should have taken on. Some of them I disagree with the decision, but you watch people who do not. It was only 2 black people on the board. But you watch people who do not necessarily look like us fighting for causes that we have an issue with. But here's the problem. The problem is, if we get to the point where that's not my issue, that's not my issue, that's not my issue, that's not my issue, and we let the people who are going after all those people get rid of everybody, there's no backup.
Right.
So we have to be involved. If you are looking at injustice, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, who are we talking about? We're talking about us, but who are we talking to?
Right.
And if there are no other people that think Black Lives Matter, why are we even saying it?
Right.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I'm just asking the question. For years and years and years, I've sat there and I've watched folks that are on CNN or different programming that really are pushing a progressive agenda. And I'm not saying that I don't push a progressive agenda, but if you say anything that's outside of that stock decision of what that agenda is and what we need to be in line with and attuned to, if you say anything outside of that, there's a problem. And I'll tell you right now that everything on the progressive agenda does not help black people.
I'm not
completely understand that we should support other races and hopefully that they'll support us as well, I also understand that many times it doesn't work out that way.
That's not what
many times
I'm not talking about a progressive agenda. I'm saying.
But immigration is a progressive agenda.
No,
it is.
Whoa. But we're talking about children being separated from their parents. Let's not talk about the whole immigration deal. Let's just talk about what it was.
Kids being separated from their parents is horrifying. However, the Republicans will say they shouldn't have been in this country, period.
Okay, but
that's what they'll say.
So what I guess what you're saying is it didn't affect black folks directly. So since it didn't affect black folks directly, what we should do is turn a blind eye because immigration is not our issue.
I'm not saying that we should turn a blind eye. I'm
Okay.
saying we should prioritize.
Okay.
And I'm saying that nobody should take priority over our own
Well,
interests.
nobody.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
no. We give people priority over our own interests every day. We
Mm-hmm.
spend 90% of our money with other people. We give people our priority.
I'm a black-owned business. You ain't got to tell me.
Well,
I get it.
I understand. I run two of them, but that's not my point.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, our priorities should be in our community. I get that, but I'm saying we cannot be effective advocates if we see such injustice and we say, you know what, that's not really our
Not my
call.
dog, not my hunt.
You know,
Right.
because it takes. You know, my sister lives in Houston. She was going to drive to the border and work on immigration cases as a volunteer because of what she saw. That didn't mean she didn't have the black agenda in mind. She just was. It was heartbreaking to hear that little girl in Spanish, and I speak a little Spanish, not a whole lot, but I speak enough to know she was begging the police to take her to her aunt's house if they were going to separate. Begging. That's heartbreaking.
Right.
I don't disagree that that's heartbreaking.
And
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I'm saying is that as we are always pushing black people to get behind agendas that do not reflect our self-interest, where are all of these other groups getting behind things that support our black interests? That's all I'm saying.
You don't know me well enough to say that I always put.
I didn't say you.
But I'm saying, but I made the statement. I made it. You don't know my background well enough to say that I always push people to go support. I push us.
You're taking this so personal.
I'm not taking
I'm
it
not
personal.
talking about you specifically. I'm saying as a people.
I'm not taking it personal. What I'm saying to you is, like you said earlier, we're not monolithic. In other words, I push the black agenda harder than anybody else, but I also can understand. It's like, let me give you an analogy. I remember this one organization that they would always invite people to their events.
Right.
And we got to get out in the community and get people to our events. Mm-hmm. And one time the people came up and said, but y'all don't go to nobody else's events.
Right.
So the reality was their agenda great? Absolutely.
Right.
Was it something they ought to push? Yes. But the lack of support of other injustice was the problem. Y'all only get upset, it's like the Malcolm X movement.
Right.
Y'all only get upset when the Muslims get in trouble.
Right, get in trouble, but you don't know who y'all standing up for, right.
So, I mean, we all can get prioritized. The black Muslims can say, we only gonna stand up for black Muslims. We ain't gonna push everybody's agenda.
Right.
And then we can say black folks as a whole, we ain't gonna push everybody. But here's the deal. We have the ability to push our agenda. We have the ability to support our businesses. We have the ability to do all of these things. And we can say this is an injustice. And the reason we have to say it's an injustice is because the next time it happens to Pookie and Ray Ray, we got to have some credibility.
Right.
In other words, it's just like if I call my brother the N-word and he say, oh, man, we cool. And a white person call him, we get upset. We don't have any credibility on the word. If we get upset when a white person kills us, but we don't get upset when a black person kills us, then we don't have any credibility on if we think Black Lives Matter. And my point in that is we have to be upset anytime black folks' lives are messed up.
Right.
We have to be upset anytime anybody calls us a derogatory term. And we have to stand up for injustice as much as we can so we can have credibility. I can't say that my white client in Fort Smith didn't deserve the same representation that and my practice is 95% black folk. Mm-hmm. I can count on my hands how many white clients I've represented. But I've represented them to the same ability as I represented the others because I got to have credibility as a lawyer that fights for his clients.
Right.
Not the clients I like. Hell, some of them I don't like.
Right.
I don't like Pookie and Ray Ray sometimes. Right. I didn't like, my white client,
right.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. I still have to have credibility when it comes to the fight. I still have to have credibility when I tell the prosecutor, this is not what the Constitution meant.
Right.
And we have to have credibility. We can't say the only time we are worried about a fight is only when Black Lives Matter, because if that's the case, everybody else can say, well, hell, Black lives don't matter to us because we not black.
Right.
But if we say, if this Hispanic child is separated from, that matters to us because no parent should have a child separated
Plus,
from.
we should look at our history when
Yeah.
we've had our
Well,
children.
okay, so Django, what he said to spur this part of this conversation was is a civil war brewing.
Right.
Is a civil war brewing.
Right.
Okay, that was what the initial question was.
Right.
So what I'll tell you is, I don't know if a civil war is brewing or not, but I can tell you as a people, we are not prepared if it is.
Well,
We're not prepared because we're a house divided.
Well, I would argue
Period.
this: the Civil War never officially ended. We went into some sort of what I call a temporary Cold War. Because
Exactly.
the
I would agree
ideologies in
completely.
this country that believe in a white supremacist view and the way that they think this country should be, and the people in this country that believe in a united melting pot of this country are still at odds, and they have idealistically always been at odds ever since the Civil War ended. That's why right after the Civil War, Jim Crow sprung up.
Right.
So hold on, I'm gonna let Jimmy get
No.
into.
Let's go with that theory.
Okay.
But the Civil War was divided up on territory lines.
Right.
So you're saying if we had a civil war, different states would again succeed, or what? How are you setting it up?
No, I'm saying it's a different type of war because what it has done now is it's going on ideology.
Okay. So so you're saying that it could be all over the country, different ideologies would sit. I think there are too many different ideologies to have that kind of a coalition.
Right.
You have too many facets.
Right.
I don't see the possibility of that happening at this point. Now, let's go back to this black agenda though. Okay, so there's a civil war brewing. 12% of the population. Let's go to a different territory, start our own stuff. Now, when I say that, black folks get real scared because now we don't want to help nobody else, but separation is not what we want to do.
Right.
We don't want to separate and do for ourselves,
Right.
but we want to be alone in our community helping. It's kind of a two-edged sword. If this country is about to divide itself and fight, why are we? What are we fighting for? Which side do we get some benefit?
Well, we don't have any if we argue that the other people's fight is not our fight. We're going to have allies.
So-
Only 12%.
Only 12%.
Right.
Or we can take our 12% and we can take our ball and go home. We can go out to
Black people can't even unite on that front. So we already in trouble.
black folk, and that's the thing about it. But we don't have to be that way.
Right.
I have a brother of mine who makes suits, and not my brother, but he's a brother. He makes suits, and I get my suits made by him. And he said, Jimmy, because you built your spot, you inspired me to build my spot. And so what do you think I'm doing? I'm sending people to his spot.
Right.
So we don't have to be divided. We can spend money among ourselves. We have the money that the 5th largest country in the world has.
Right.
We just decide we don't want to give it to each other.
Well, because it's a mental slavery thing. I mean, it's funny to me when we talk about black folks and me, and you told me you have black. I have a black-owned business. Jimmy, like you said, you have. It's funny to me. Black folks will go spend money on Versace, Gucci, Polo, and all this other stuff, but then won't spend money at the black folks' establishment because their price is too high.
Well, I mean,
What kind of sense that make?
None, but it happens every day of the week.
It doesn't make any sense, but also, I mean, you have to take it on a duality side.
Right.
The duality is we have to be real with each other.
Right.
Number one, in any type of business, there are businesses that run correctly, and there are some two-bit hustlers.
Right.
And the problem that we have sometimes is the two-bit hustler puts a bad taste in our mouth, and we assume everybody's doing
Right.
it.
It's the same way. Right.
So, as a black person, we should give black people the same opportunities as we give white folks. In other words, if Comet messes up your shirt, you give them opportunity to
rectify it.
Right. If they buy you a new shirt or something like. So if Damon down on Martin Luther King messed up your shirt, you give him opportunity to do that.
Right.
And so the same way I would give Comet when I went to Comet, because I don't go to Comet anymore.
Right.
I go to Damon.
Right.
When Damon messes up, and of course people mess up,
Right.
I give them a chance to fix it.
Right.
And we have to start doing that for each other. And then the other ones, that when we start a business, we can't jack our prices up to try to get money from people, and we can't run bad business because it makes it bad on the rest of us. So there's a duality. Both people have a responsibility.
Right.
I have to, as a lawyer, give a person a good price for good services
Right.
and work on their case.
Right.
My coffee shop, I have to have good prices. I have to have good customer service.
Got to be competitive,
You
right?
got to be competitive. And then I have the ability to demand that if people are going to be mad at Starbucks, then they can come to my coffee shop.
Right.
If people are going to be mad at West End Cigars or at Dave's Cigars, that they come to my spot and have a cigar.
Right.
So at the end of the day, one, we do spend spend money with each other. We demand that we spend money with each other. But two, we also demand of ourselves that we invest in our business, invest in our craft to
Right.
get better and give good service to our people. So we can't. Both people have a responsibility.
Okay.
And-
Well, you know what? We gonna have to get ready to end it there. I want to thank Jimmy for coming in. Mia, you got anything else you want to say before we get up out of here? That y'all been fighting today.
She's doing a radio show.
No, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all have it today with all of that. But I will say that in terms of, well, you know what? Let's circle back around to it next time I'm on the show. I don't even want to go there. We don't even have enough time for me to give my whole opinion on that.
Okay, Mia, I want to thank you for joining us in, Dollar. Thank you. And of course, I want to thank Jimmy for coming in today. Thank you, bro. Keep on fighting the
look,
good fight.
Hey, man, I got to do it, man. I'm, I tell you, I'm your lawyer's favorite lawyer, baby.
Okay, well, we're going to make sure we send it. Don't forget, Jimmy C. Morris, he's right here in Little Rock. I ain't going to put your number out. I'm going to let you go and do that for people if you want to go and get your services. But he's at Club Havana. That's also his business.
Yeah, Cafe Havana.
Yep.
You can find me there if you can't find me at the office, and you
Yep.
can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and the number is 501.
And
All right, then. Well, thank you, Jimmy. And, hey, that's it for us. Hey, guys, don't forget our picnic is coming up September 1st, Allside Park. Devil's Advocate, first and Beat the Becky picnic. I wish some colonizers would call on out, though. And don't forget Black Swan Catering. Thank you, Curly Will, for supporting us and sponsoring us. I got to holler at you. And, of course, I get Dave in next week somehow, somewhere. Right now, get ready for Black Focus Radio with Dynamic Dave. And, hey, it's us, same bad time, same bad channel. And if you can't stand the heat, stay out of Hell's Kitchen, folks. We'll see you.